Coming up on Around San Diego, nearly 1 million migrants who entered the country through the CBP One app just had their legal status revoked. We'll explain what this means moving forward. And there are concerns after some Chicano murals in Barrio Logan were painted over. We are working for you to find out if that is even allowed. Plus, friends and family are honoring the memory of one of the county's top young pastry chefs who died while in Hawaii. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day, and I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news, and we'll look ahead in less than 30 minutes. We do begin at the border. Nearly 1 million migrants who entered the country through the CBP One app just had their legal status revoked. The Trump administration says the move was necessary to protect national security. CBS 8's Steve Price shares what a local migrant rights advocate is saying.
Hundreds of thousands of migrants who thought they were doing everything by the book now being told they have to leave the country. Advocates say this is causing fear and chaos.
The federal government's CBP One app was, for 2 years, a legal way to seek asylum in the U.S. But today, the Department of Homeland Security terminated parole protections for the more than 900,000 migrants who entered the country through this system.
It's really frustrating to many people who are in a vulnerable situation.
Pedro Rios with American Friends Service Committee says it's put hundreds of thousands of people who followed the rules in a state of limbo.
Do they leave? Do they not? Do they heed that order? Do they not? Will they be subject to being sent to a third country in prison-like conditions, subject to torture? This is something that just should not be happening.
The rules were dangerous to Americans.
U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi defended today's move, saying the CBP One app was abused under the Biden administration, creating safety concerns that threaten national security.
A Border Patrol agent told me Venezuelan men were coming in saying they were from China. Chinese people were coming in saying they were from any country, Ireland, any country they wanted to identify that they were from, and they were walking right into our country.
DHS is warning affected migrants to self-deport, releasing a statement that said in part, those who refuse will be found, removed, and permanently barred from re-entry. It's not clear how many migrants who entered through the CBP One app are currently living in San Diego County, but Rios says they're here because it's not safe for them to go home. His advice to them?
I would say consult with an attorney as soon as possible. Understand what their possible options might be, even though those are limited, but understand what their circumstances are. That way they can make an informed decision about what next steps they need to take.
Today's announcement does not affect those who came into the country through the Uniting for Ukraine program. At the federal courthouse downtown, Steve Price, CBS 8.
Yeah, and Steve, meantime, construction will start again on parts of the border wall in San Diego. The Department of Homeland Security issued a waiver bypassing environmental regulations in order to close gaps in certain parts of the wall. That includes gaps in the wall at Smuggler's Gulch, the Jacumba Gap project, and about 600 to maybe 1,500 feet along another stretch. Some people say this will help prevent illegal border crossings, while others say it will make crossing the border more dangerous for immigrants.
The border walls just represent a disaster for what we've seen in so many years where they have failed and have led to increased injuries and even fatalities.
Well, what is currently happening is not compassionate at all. It is not compassionate to make people break and enter into our country to try to have a better life.
Yeah, so no word yet on when construction will begin. Well, we are one step closer to determining who will represent the South Bay in San Diego County's District 1 seat on the Board of Supervisors. Right now, early results show Chula Vista's Republican Mayor John McCann in the lead with 44% of the vote, and Imperial Beach's Democratic Mayor Paloma Aguirre with 32%. Behind them are candidates Vivian Moreno and Carolina Chavez. The Registrar of Voters says turnout was just about 15%. Aguirre and McCann will now face off in a runoff election on July 1st. Also this week, a woman died after being rescued from a storm drain in Poway. 59-year-old Yesang Zahao was reported missing about a week prior. She was later found in the storm drain off Beeler Canyon Road after authorities found her car and scattered belongings near a pond. First responders pulled her out of the drain Monday afternoon, but she was pronounced dead about 2 hours later. Still not known how she ended up in that storm drain. Well, some San Diego residents have filed a lawsuit against the city over the approval of a controversial nearly 1,000-seat megachurch in Del Cerro. The Save Del Cerro group claims the city accepted a flawed environmental impact report that failed to address zoning, traffic, air quality, and noise concerns. The lawsuit argues the 6-acre parcel should have been considered for housing amid the city's shortage. This comes just weeks after the city council approved the All People's Church project, partly to avoid a lawsuit from church leaders. The city attorney's office has declined to comment on this latest legal challenge. And some Chicano murals there in Barrio Logan are being painted over, raising concerns about erasing the neighborhood's culture and history. We are working for you to find out what protections exist for these public works of art. Artist Mario Terrero there, a founding figure of Chicano Park, tells us he was shocked to see a mural he helped organize covered up. Another mural on a residential fence was also painted over after the property changed owners.
Speak about the original indigenous cultures that have created us. We are losing some of our important historical sacred sites. This was one of them.
Yeah, so a realtor for the property tells us the city ordered the owner to remove the, quote, graffiti or face fines. However, we found that under state and federal law, murals can be protected and require the artist to be notified before removal. But San Diego does lack strong local enforcement of that. Activists are now calling for better protections. Well, friends and family are honoring the memory of one of the county's top young pastry chefs who died in a horrific accident while on vacation in Hawaii. CBS 8's Steve Price reports from Carlsbad, where Gianna Buzetta worked for the past several years.
The restaurant is usually closed on Mondays, but staff came here on their day off to honor their amazing friend. This fundraiser was quickly put together and it is almost sold out.
I'm so thankful to God that he gave us her.
For Gianna Buzetta's parents, it's fitting that their daughter, at just 26 years old, quickly became one of the county's most talented pastry chefs, because even as a little girl, she was always cooking up ways to make everyone feel special.
Her love and her actions spoke volumes, even though she was a girl of not many words.
Gianna died last month in a freak, horrific accident in Hawaii. She and her boyfriend were enjoying a waterfall in a remote area when a boulder fell and hit her in the head. With no signal, he ran several miles to get help.
He performed heroic acts to save her. We will forever be indebted to that. Like, he never gave up.
Despite those acts, Gianna died the next day. Now, the restaurant where she created her magic over the past 4 years, June et Jolie in Carlsbad, is honoring her with a fundraiser tonight to help her family pay for funeral expenses and costs related to her accident.
She went after her dreams. Like, no one could rock her.
Gianna's parents say their daughter loved the science of being a pastry chef, the all-or-nothing pressure of an experiment working.
She loved a beautiful, plated, complicated dessert. Those were her favorite things. The crazier, the better.
Gianna's parents say her spirit to try new things and never give up made them proud, and they hope those whose lives she touched will do the same.
You need to go and live your dreams. Like, make it happen, because time is of the essence, and we just don't know. You know, we don't know. And each day, if you happen to wake up and like feel the air on your face, I think that is a gift.
Gianna's family also wants to say thank you to everyone who has reached out to them with messages of support. They say they've gotten several calls from people telling them stories they had never heard before, acts of kindness. They say they're not surprised, but they appreciate hearing them. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
An incredible and tight-knit family, Steve, thank you. Coming up, the San Diego Police Department is making history, welcoming its first officer who is an amputee to its motorcycle unit. We'll share more of his story next. Well, this week, San Diego lifeguards wrapped up a massive drill that simulated a plane crash in Mission Bay. More than 200 first responders from multiple agencies took part in the exercise designed to sharpen their rescue efforts in case of a real emergency. The practice scenario was a commuter plane colliding with a Cessna and crashing into Mission Bay. Volunteer patients acted out their injuries to create more realistic urgency for those responders. We spoke with the lifeguard chief about this week's drill. The exercise also included our dive teams and showed how they conduct underwater investigations. Well, raising kids is expensive, and a new report is shedding light on just how pricey it is, especially here in California. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has a breakdown of the cost and what experts say you can do to prepare.
Close to $300,000, according to Lending Tree. That is how much it costs to raise just one child here in California, making us the 8th most expensive state in the country.
It is definitely expensive, and especially the older she gets, the more she eats, the different outfits.
Jennifer Sumber says while expenses for her 13-year-old daughter may have changed over the years, one thing that hasn't is how pricey everything is.
The health care, the dental care, 2.5 years from wait for getting her driver's license, college, saving up for that one.
According to a new report by Lending Tree, the 18-year cost of raising a child in California has surged to over $286,000. Nationwide, it's more than $297,000, a 25.3% increase over 2023.
That's an awful lot of money considering how tight so many people's budgets are.
Matt Schultz is the chief consumer finance analyst at Lending Tree. He says they came up with those numbers based on several factors.
From insurance premiums to the cost of rent, to childcare costs, to daycare, to transportation, to food. There's just so much that goes in to raising a child.
Overall, California ranked as the 8th most expensive state behind places like Wyoming, Alaska, and Washington. Hawaii ranked number 1.
The least expensive place tended to be in the Deep South.
While the numbers are daunting, Schultz says there are ways to save.
Whether it's just shopping around or buying used or getting friends and family involved.
In addition, he suggests parents take steps to ensure their financial foundation is sturdy.
That means knocking down your high interest debt like credit card debt. It means building an emergency fund so the next emergency trip to the hospital or the next time you have a flat tire, that money doesn't just go straight to your credit card. Those sorts of things can make a real difference.
Jennifer Sumber says she does what she can to save, including now sharing clothes with her daughter.
We wear the same clothes, wear the same shoes. So we save for a rainy day.
Shannon Handy, CBS 8.
Good tip, Shannon. Thank you. Well, the San Diego Police Department honored its newest graduates to the motorcycle unit. Among them is Officer Mark Wright, an amputee who is the first in SDPD's history to join that unit. Wright is a 25-year Marine Corps veteran and joined San Diego Police back in 2020. But while heading home after a late shift in 2022, he crashed into an abandoned vehicle there on the I-15. His injuries left him with that left leg amputated below the knee, but it did not stop him from accomplishing his dreams.
At 100%, nobody's outrun me. And they're darned if they do and darned if they don't. They either lost to a one-legged guy or they beat a one-legged guy.
Good attitude there. So yeah, Officer Wright is also part of SDPD's peer support program, assisting officers struggling with personal and professional issues. Still ahead, some of the plants in our county are not only making it more beautiful, but also maintaining our health. We'll share all those details in an Earth 8 report. Welcome back. Some of the plants that make up our county's landscape are not just beautiful, they could be the key to maintaining our health. Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis returned to Encinitas to see what has sprouted up from a blossoming partnership in this Earth 8 report.
Last year, we visited the San Diego Botanic Garden to check out their medicinal nursery, as well as this garden that's on display to the general public. Now, we are back to hear about what's new in their collaboration with the Salk Institute, as well as their advancements towards drug discoveries.
We have co-evolved with all these medicinal plants. I mean, they make these things probably to protect themselves, but also maybe because they make their mammal counterparts happy.
And when it comes to this collection of plants, happy and healthy. In fact, 40% of all drugs found in modern pharmacies are extracted from plants. Dr. Todd Michael, a research professor at the Salk Institute, is ready to add to this growing list.
What we specialize in is actually reading that DNA. It's sort of like having a book without any paragraphs or spaces. And we actually can read the DNA letters and determine, well, what is the plant saying? This is the holy grail of sequencing.
The findings help researchers compare the pathways of these plants to extract medicinal components. This small bush has been added to the collection.
Ephedra is a great model. So not only is it great for our medicinal program, but it's also really great for our basic biology.
Ephedra is found in the desert and thrives in dry conditions and is related to the Torrey pine. It has a history of being used in treatments including syphilis, weight loss, allergies, asthma, and headaches.
We're picking local medicinal plants, so native plants, that have been used by Native American people who are asking us to work together to study them with modern scientific techniques to marry that with the traditional knowledge.
The two main characters in this research are Artemisia, used to treat malaria, and this Yerba Santa, which Dr. Ben Naiman, the director of medicinal plant research, let me sample.
It reminds me a little bit of like a bitter.
A nice taste to it. It's a good use as a bitters.
I like that.
And you'll find this in a lot of food products as well.
Yerba Santa also has the potential to treat neurological disorders like Alzheimer's disease.
This is one of our research plots.
There is now a plot of Yerba Santa adjacent to the medicinal garden to increase their studies.
It's about half planted out right now.
Universities and research centers have sent them sample leaves, branches, and seeds to be used in this nationally recognized effort to study more medicinal plants. In San Diego, the San Diego Botanic Garden in Encinitas has partnered with California State University San Marcos, along with the Jamul Indian Village of California, a Kumeyaay nation, Kumeyaay Community College, and other tribal nations and tribal representatives, which Ben stresses is vital.
In part just because of the disparity of the communities that exist here in the urban setting and out in the reservation systems, but also because of the long history of knowledge, the cultural use, the ties to these plants and to the nature that is San Diego County.
The ultimate goal is to translate the work into clinical trials and commercial products for pharmaceutical development.
This is sort of a circular ecosystem, a financial ecosystem that reinforces itself, brings the community together for the benefit of everyone while actually protecting nature.
And don't forget, you can tour this medicinal garden yourself, but please, no sampling. This is a sustainable process. In their research, they never take more from a plant than it is going to be able to regenerate, and neither should we. For CBS 8, I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis.
Isn't that incredible? Good stuff. That will do it for us. Thank you for staying informed. Have such a great week. Take care and go Padres.